Welcome. You have landed once again on the channel of the EbFatz, a Championship Manager 0102 channel. We do hints, we do tips, we do challenges, we do tactics, we do saves. Today we're looking at some hints and tips for the game. It's not on this particular page. This is the manager profile page. You'll find a video on that elsewhere on my channel. But today we're looking at player potential, and what I'm going to do for you is list the 22 players with the best PA player potential on the first day of a save on the original database of the game. So these won't be wonder kids. They won't all be wonder kids. I haven't taken age into account. So what these are the players listed in the database with the best potential ability, best PA in the game. So what we will do, we will try and get through these as quickly as possible. So stay with me to find out those 22 players, find out whether they're players that you know, whether there's some players that you may not have been expecting, or players that you would expect to have the best potential ability in the game. So without further ado, let's load up the very first of those. What I'm going to do is go through them in alphabetical order. So the first is Pablo Aimar. So we find him at 21 years of age. He's playing for Valencia, and you would be able to pick him up for anywhere in the region of £7.25 million. That's his value on day one of the save. Player number two, he is a goalkeeper. This is Gianluigi Buffon. So this is a man, as we all know, at this particular moment in time recording this video, he is still playing today. But as we join the first day of a save on the original database, Gianluigi Buffon has 20 caps for Italy. He is 23 years of age, and you will be able to look at his value here, which is £10.5 million. So not easy to get, certainly not with a small club. If that's your preference, you would need a lot of bank balance behind you to be able to snare Gianluigi Buffon away from Juventus. The next player on the list is Hernan Crespo. He is at Lazio at game start, 25 years of age, a full Argentinian international already, and look at those stats. What a player. He would set you back more than £11.75 million at game start. It probably cost you a good chunk of change more than that. A very good player. We see his goal scoring record for River, for Parma, for Lazio inputted into the game. And yeah, as I say, stats all in all the right places. Finishing, pace, off the ball. He's got his stamina, he's got strength. He's consistent. A very, very good player. We are back to Juventus for the next player, and this is Edgar, the Dutch defensive midfielder. Again, a smattering of 20s all over the place. Acceleration, balance, bravery, determination, stamina, strength, teamwork and work rate. Big matches and consistency you see as well, as I have the fourth column enabled. If you want to know more about the fourth column, again, there is a video on my channel for that. Edgar Davids, nearly £15 million is his set value, 14.75 million. So it would take a lot of money to be prizing him away from Juve. The next man, and this shows the strength of Juventus and the strength of Serie A at the time the game came out in 2001-2002, that every single player that we've had so far, and more to come, are playing in the Italian top flight. But this is the Czech international, Pavel Nedved, 28 years of age, can play in the centre of midfield, the left of midfield, and slightly more advanced as an attacking midfielder as well. £14.5 million, 3 fluent languages and a bit of basic German. So that would enable him to settle well if he were to go to any of those countries. Consistency of 20, adaptability of 18 would also help with those things. Another great player. We leave Juventus briefly, but we do stay in Italy, and we find Alessandro Nesta playing for Lazio. He's a centre half, obviously, as we know, Italian international, very good player, one of the best central defenders on the game already, so that takes into account current ability, not just potential ability. He is £7 million is his rating, but as mentioned with previous players, it probably cost you a good load more than 7 million to be able to get him away from Lazio. And the first time we step away from Serie A and we go to the English Premier League, and we find Michael Owen at Liverpool. 21 years of age, already 29 caps under his belt and 10 international goals. We all know Michael Owen was touted as a superb prospect at that time, and we all know what happened in the 1998 World Cup. So Michael Owen finds himself at Liverpool, obviously his first club, running before the game starts at a goal every other game pretty much, and a value just under £15 million, which was very high, obviously, at ODB times over 20 years ago. The next man we find is one who we all, I think, say a prayer over at the start of a game. Arjen Robben starts the game at just 17 years of age and at Dutch side Groningen. What happens is, as I'm sure you know, he already has a future transfer arranged to PSV. What can happen is, though, they have another transfer arranged for a right back called Michael Lamey. His future price comes in at £21 million. So everyone thinks it's a misprint in the game, so it should be £2.1 million that Lamey goes for. But what often can happen is the Lamey transfer goes through, that exhausts all of PSV's funds, and then they are unable to complete the transfer for Arjen Robben. If that then happens, whoever you are managing, if you're able to and have the funds, you can swoop in and try and sign him. So we see him here. He is a great prospect. Acceleration, agility, flair, technique, fitness and loyalty are high as well. But there we see the transfer to PSV. So if we were to click on PSV and go through to their future transfers, you will see there the third one, Michael Lamey, a right back from RKC. Decent player, very good player. But that transfer of £21 million, we assume, is mis-entered into the database. It should be 2.1 million. Then obviously PSV wouldn't run out of money. They'd be able to complete on Robben as well. But often Lamey goes to PSV, but then they can't afford Robben. So that is one to look out for at the end of season 1. And that could be a very good pickup who could stay with you for a good 10 to 15 years after that. We are off to Brazil for the next man, and one of the best strikers I've ever seen play the game. This is Romário. So you'll remember at the start of this video I said to you that I've not taken age into account. So you see here Romário is 35 years of age. So if you were to sign him, he probably wouldn't be lasting you for very much longer. His stamina is obviously on its way down already at 13. But what you can then do is you know exactly when he's going to retire, and that means you can start to look out for his regen, who will have the same potential ability, more or less. But there will be some of these attributes that you see that stay the same. So again, that's something you can go off and research if you want to. Look at the number of attributes that are locked for a player and stay the same. So you will find a Brazilian forward centre with those attributes. It's probably more likely to be Romário than anyone else. If you were to sign the original Romário, we're looking at 900,000. That's his value. And yeah, what a career it has been. Romário's one-time strike partner, one-time possibly replacement for Romário, is Ronaldo. He starts the game at Inter and at 24 years of age, 41 caps already in that time, and 24 international goals. Look at some of those stats though: flair, influence, pace, adaptability, big matches, loyalty, all 20. And yeah, what a player Ronaldo is. Obviously we look at the injury proneness there at 16. That is a bit of an issue, but if you can keep him fit, is he worth the £18.75 million plus? He is a superb striker. That's all you can say really, isn't it? We know now, looking at this video, his potential ability is huge, so you can get that current ability up, keep him fit, keep him firing. Could be a superb option for someone. A Portuguese midfielder next. We look at Rui Costa, who starts at AC Milan. What an all-round player he looks. So many of those attributes there in red. And that means we're looking at 15, 16 or above for those numbers. Heading 11 is probably generous for him, maybe. Probably would have upped his long shots to 14, from 14. But what will happen as he continues along, some of those attributes obviously change as the game goes along. 29 years of age, so he won't have long at the top. For £15 million, is he a decent acquisition? I would say so. Okay, we move on to probably the first one that's probably a bit of a surprise on this list, and we're looking at Roque Santa Cruz, starting at Bayern Munich, 19 years of age, Paraguayan. He has got years and years of growth ahead of him, so if he stays at Bayern, obviously with their very good training facilities, he will continue to grow. Could get a good 15 years out of him, and if your club that you're managing has good training facilities, good coaches, then you will see these attributes grow and grow and grow as Santa Cruz gets older and turn into potential ability. We're looking at potentially a very, very good striker. Just under £6 million, a second nationality of Spanish, so don't need to worry about the EU regulations as well. So if you could prize him away from Bayern, could be a very good signing. Next up, another Argentine, and we're looking at Javier Saviola of Barcelona. 19 years of age, he's got just the one cap for Argentina at game start, but acceleration, agility, determination, flair, all at 20. Big matches, again, you see at 20, loyalty, 19, and then a smattering of other very good stats around that, pacing off the ball. But we know at 19, and with the potential ability, he has the potential to grow and grow and grow. At Barcelona, maybe he doesn't get the chances sometimes that he deserves with the other strikers at the club. So if you have a spare £12.25 million plus, you might be able to nab him away from Barca to lead your strike force. We go back to Milan and Andrei Shevchenko, the Ukrainian, 24-year-old, not listed as a striker centre, he is listed as a forward centre, so that's worth bearing in mind. But at 24, all those attributes are there, aren't they, really? Adaptability again, big matches again, fitness 20, loyalty 18. So you'll notice in that fourth column, a lot of these players that we're looking at have big matches as a high attribute, they have loyalty as a high attribute, but they also have obviously the other ones that we know from the first three columns. £20 million, difficult to get him away from Milan, so if you want to use Shevchenko, maybe you're taking on the AC Milan job to do so. So, be honest now, who thought when we were looking at a list of players with the best potential ability in the game, we would be going to the Welsh Premier League? Well, we are. Everyone knows the name. This is Neville Southall, Welsh international goalkeeper. Again, I will mention I have not limited these players by age. So as you can see, Neville Southall is right at the end of his career. 42 years of age, winding down. He's had his career at Everton and Wales, and now he is just playing out the final days of his career. But we know with the potential ability that we have, after season one ends, the likelihood is Southall retires, and then we've just got to look for that Welsh goalkeeper who looks like he could be the reincarnated form of Neville Southall, the regen of Neville Southall. So he will come back with that high potential ability. Wherever you may start, the chances are Southall will come back either as a free transfer or somewhere, potentially in Wales or England, but with a very, very low transfer value. So looking at him here, £3,000. Might be a similar amount he comes back with. So could be a very good snap up if you're able to find that regen quickly. Next up, the man, the legend of the all-conquering Roma, AS Roma. This is Francesco Totti, already in that number 10 shirt, 24 years of age, 24 international caps. Either foot, can do everything, and once again I'll point out to you, big matches 20, consistency 19, loyalty 18. So these are things that look like they come hand in hand with top players, so that might be something worth bearing in mind for the future. Francesco Totti, a wonderful player, £18 million. Will he ever want to leave Roma? Will it go with real life? I have seen him snapped up before, so there is always a possibility. Back to England for our next man, and we have Juan Sebastian Veron, an Argentinian international, 26 years of age. Look in that fourth column again, big matches, consistency, loyalty, all high. A very good player, sometimes doesn't actually perform in game as well as he could or should, but is always still ranked up there when people look at the best midfielders, the best attacking midfielders in the game. Veron is one of the first names that is mentioned. £17 million plus to get him. After a while at Manchester United, depending on what happens with Ferguson, who the replacement for him is, what transfer activity they do, there's sometimes the option that Veron may fall out of favour there, so it is worth keeping an eye on if you're managing one of those big clubs who could afford those fees. Another number 4 is the next player on our list. This is 25-year-old French defensive midfielder Patrick Vieira. Everyone knows Patrick. Again, much like Veron, you ask people about the best DMCs on the game, Vieira's name will be somewhere near the top of that list. He's got those stats in the right places. He's influential, he can jump, he has stamina, strength, tackling, teamwork. Again, that fourth column, big matches, consistency, loyalty are all there. Vieira is an Arsenal stalwart, obviously. £16.5 million plus to even get Arsenal to consider looking at your bid. We return to Internazionale of Milan and we find Christian Bobo Vieri. What a strike force they would have been if they could have both stayed fit. Vieri, the left-footed striker, Ronaldo, the right-footed striker. Both of them find themselves in this list. Vieri is 28 and a very, very good looking player, but as mentioned, much with Ronaldo's injury proneness rating of 16, Vieri has 15. So your issue is keeping him fit. Is he worth the £22 million plus that Inter would demand? Many people will say there are much better strikers for much, much, much less money. But if money is no object, Christian Vieri could be a very good shout. Very surprisingly, this is the first time we are visiting Real Madrid, and we find the world's most famous number 5, some might say, Zinedine Zidane, the French midfielder, 29 years of age. Everyone knows what he has done in the real world, but what can he do in game? 20s all over the place again, dribbling, creativity, flair, passing, set pieces and technique, all things associated with Zizou. £18 million plus you'd be looking at to try and prize him away from Real. It's almost the impossible job, but sometimes you see AI buying and selling Zidane around all the big clubs in Europe. He'll show up back in Italy. He'll go to England sometimes. Not very often, but sometimes. He'll go back to Spain. I've seen him in Germany before. So he is not locked to Real Madrid. Certainly not. But at 29 at game start, his time maybe is a little limited. A man who almost everyone would have been expecting here, Ruud van Nistelrooy. Goal machine. Does anything else need to be said about this man in game? He is one of, if not the best, striker on the game. He cannot stop scoring. Again, before I get inundated with comments, I know there are other strikers who can score at that rate. But Van Nistelrooy, of all the players that were top in real life, this is probably the striker that you would want. £12 million. He's only just arrived at Manchester United, obviously, at this stage. So we'll be looking at maybe a year or two down the line when you may be able to steal Van Nistelrooy away. Again, it might be down to who they sign and whether he has been replaced by the time you go in with your bid. And so the final player of this list of 22 of the best players, the best potential ability players in the game, is Rafael van der Vaart. So he's probably the second player on this list after Santa Cruz that you might not have been expecting. But at his age, he is officially in the wonder kid territory. 18 years of age, already at Ajax, and already looking a very, very good player. Left only, loyal. This one doesn't have big matches and consistency as high as yet, but that will come. If you are a club who are able to train and nurture, give him game time, you'll see those attributes rise and rise and rise. And he will become a very, very good central midfielder, potentially even left midfielder for you. So that is the list of 22 players. One thing I need to add before I finish this video is the fact that a lot of people now know it's not just about current ability and potential ability. You could stack your squad with 25 of the best players in terms of current ability, 25 players in terms of potential ability, but they may not be the best players in the game. Obviously, we know the likes of Toe Madeira, Maxim Zigalko. They are players who have very low potential ability, current ability, but are obviously world beaters. So it's more about how the attributes are distributed in each player. But if you are looking for simply the players that have the best potential ability in the game, go back and rewatch this video, because these are the 22 players who have potential ability of the figure 195 or above. The scale is out of 200, obviously, and those players are there. So thank you very much for staying with me. If you have, this is my opportunity to say, please do like this video, subscribe to the channel for more, share with other like-minded players, and do comment below if there's anything that you agree with, disagree with, or want to see me make videos on. Thank you very much for being with me, and let's continue keeping the game alive.